What's up and welcome to KplusGaming Corner, and in this Outriders video I wanted to take a moment to share some thoughts and opinions on Outriders as a whole and why I still play the game even with all the negativity that's been surrounding it lately, not even lately, for a very long time now. I had put out a video recently where I cut up a few clips from a recent live stream where we were discussing the idea that PCF and Square Enix have abandoned Outriders pretty much to die, and I shared some thoughts then, but wanted to give my official take as well as share my overall experience with the game since its release almost 2 years ago. Now, for some context on where I'm coming from, Outriders was actually my first real looter-shooter experience, as before then I was much more into action RPG games like Nier Automata, the Witcher games, the From Software, Soulsborne variety, shout out to Hollow Knight. At the time of Outriders' release back in April of 2021, I was winding down with Cyberpunk actually, and having run through the game 3 times, playing the different life paths, and was looking for something new to occupy my time. Back then, the weeks leading up to Outriders' release was filled with so much hype and anticipation that I got caught up in it and figured if I was going to venture into the looter-shooter genre, this was going to be the game to take that plunge. The idea of wielding X-Men-like powers while leveling up and playing co-op with one of my best friends, plus the fact that it was releasing on Xbox Game Pass, made this a no-brainer in terms of the next game that was going to keep me engaged for hours and hours, and boy, did it. As of right now, my current play time is around 3,650 hours, so it's hard to say I haven't gotten my money's worth. I certainly have. I've spent so much time playing this game that's actually what led my wife to start encouraging me to start a channel and make all this time I was spending more constructive. Hence why I'm here right now talking to what's been an awesome community in the past few months since I've started streaming and plunging into the world of YouTube and Twitch. At the launch of Outriders on April Fool's Day 2 years ago, the issues and bugs were almost legendary and discussed way better than I can explain by great YouTubers such as Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, Nerdslayer Studios, and Born to Game. I'll leave a link to their videos in the description. Despite those initial issues, I pushed through it all and kept playing, finished the main campaign, and moving on to the endgame expeditions where, in my opinion, the real game began as we started our journey to level 50 and collecting all the legendary gear and items. I wasn't too much affected by the crashes and character wipes and all the other crazy stuff that was going on, though I sympathized with those that did, but my frustration with the game started building as, with this being my first experience with looter shooters and the RNG gods, I couldn't for the life of me understand why the game was so stingy with the loot. It took me a solid 2 weeks of constantly playing for hours and hours and hours to finally get my hands on the torrential downpour chest armor, as I tried everything from expeditions to the Noah bounty exploit, only to find out that certain gear pieces weren't even in certain loot pools or locked behind certain expedition tier levels, further pissing me off. I kept going though, eventually getting that piece and others like the Seismic Commander helmet and other legendarily difficult pieces to get like the Akari chest piece, but it wasn't easy and the grind was taking its toll. Then New Horizons came out and gave the game a much needed makeover and a breath of fresh air in terms of improving loot drop chances, getting rid of the timers and expeditions, although I wouldn't mind them bringing that back as an option where maybe you guarantee an Apocalypse legendary if you clear the expedition in a certain amount of time. Just a thought. But New Horizons demonstrated to me that PCF was listening to our complaints and that we were heard. Plus, we had 4 new expeditions to run through, each having secret new weapons and a new boss fight in City of Nomads, so things were looking real good. Things were on the up and up. Around that same time, promotion for a new Worldslayer DLC began, and it seemed all was well in the Outriders universe, though we still had annoying bug crashes and matchmaking issues to contend with. I did take a pretty substantial break from the game when Elden Ring came out, as that game had my full attention for months. But I dove right back in when Worldslayer was released, happily spending the $40 and pre-ordering it to make sure I could get right into it a few days early. Unfortunately, Worldslayer didn't quite live up to the hype. Some might consider that an understatement. Me and a friend who were running through it were shocked when we were finished with it after only around 2 or 3 hours, defeating Ereshkigal in what I considered a pretty disappointing and anticlimactic ending. The trials of Tarya Gatar were fun at first, but quickly became repetitive, plus an oppressive grind to a new level 75 playing the same content over and over again definitely wasn't doing the game any favors. Eventually, this led to my best friend putting the game down altogether as he saw no point in getting to level 75. For what? To keep playing the same Arbiter over and over again? There was nothing new to really test our more powerful builds against. No new game modes coming due to a continuing silence from developers, which is still 4 months and counting. And then there was the nerf to the final Arbiter farm, where at least we were getting lots and lots of APOC legendaries to try out new builds and at least keep things fresh. Instead, they considered fighting the Arbiter 4 times before returning to camp in exploit and cheating. Something I'll never understand and to this day do not agree with. Now the final Arbiter was nowhere near as fruitful, and it seemed like the developers were trying to suck all the fun out of what little content we had and make the game as unbearable as possible. The biggest issue, again in my opinion, was the outright cheating and modding that all this unnecessary grinding was leading to, where now if you joined a lobby, you were at risk of having weapons and mods that you grinded for and earned, having those erased or having your ascension levels tampered with, and matchmaking pretty much became a nightmare. You always had to worry if your inventory was going to be tampered with or if your character was going to be altered in some way that would be irreversible. And it didn't seem like PCF was going to do anything about it. So while before, if I started playing and opened up my privacy settings to public, I'd have 1 or 2 players joining in a matter of minutes, and we'd have fun running around playing co-op. Now I would run around for hours, and it was like the Will Smith Fresh Prince meme where I'm alone in an empty house looking around. Through all of this, I kept playing. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment. And that brings me to the point of this video, which is why I'm still playing. Again, my opinion, but I feel like Outriders still has some of the best action and game mechanics around. I've since played games like The Division 2 and dabbled a little bit in Destiny 2, but gameplay wise, as long as everything was working correctly, there was still nothing like hunting the prey behind an enemy and temporal blades slashing them to hell, or earthquaking a mother brood to pieces as you punched the ground and shook the whole battlefield. Aesthetically, the gear and especially the weapons still look dope, as you could tell the level of detail and effort put into the artwork. I also enjoyed the diversity of the enemies, although some new enemy types couldn't hurt, as you were battling against humans, hordes of anomaly-altered beasts, and an alien Pax race with their own unique abilities and powers. The biggest thing for me, though, is the build crafting. As I've said plenty of times during my live streams, there's so much diversity and so many different directions you can take each character that it still keeps me busy with new ideas and builds I want to experiment with, different class and weapon combinations. I've demonstrated during my live streams that 2 players playing the same character, say a Lava Lich Pyromancer, could have vastly different takes on the character using different skills while each being effective in what they're doing. All of these factors have kept me from abandoning the game like many others have, though I will admit I haven't been playing the game as much as before since games like Gears 5, Remnant from the Ashes, and the previously mentioned Division 2 have all been taking quite a bit of my attention. I still enjoy running with others, especially you guys. Shout out to new friends I've made over the past few months like Jago6, Uno M, Ronin Dax, and especially Console and Control, who also used to post some Outriders videos. He has some great build videos and has an especially potent Seismic Commander Devastator. I'll drop a link to his channel in the description. And of course, Sandman Modding, who also has a strong techmonger Technomancer. You guys have all been awesome and give me hope that the game isn't, in fact, dead like many proclaim. I mean, shoot, there was a time where people said the Division 2 was dead. And I mean, you take one trip through the Dark Zone and you'll see how true that turned out to be. With Outriders, it's at its best when playing with others, and you guys show me all the time that Outriders still has a very loyal, although greatly depleted, fan base. It's clear by the numbers that there aren't very many of us left still playing the game, but we're still here, holding on to hopes of more DLC or maybe a sequel. But even if there aren't a lot of us, we are here and we do matter. Time will tell if Square Enix and PCF realize the sleeping giant they're sitting on, as few other games can give you this combination of game action, powerful abilities, even more powerful enemies, gunplay, loot farming, and co-op play. I mean, who knows? Maybe someone at Square Enix might even see this and hear our voices, as we all want this game to be the best it can be and not die the tragic death that's being put on it. When I released that video, the clip of the live stream almost 2 weeks back, I got a lot of feedback and comments that my fellow Outriders are still out there enjoying the game, as well as new players still coming in and having lots of fun with it. We can only hope, right? I'll leave it there, as these are just some of my personal thoughts on why I still play Outriders, why I will not be abandoning the game, at least not until they really kill it and take the servers down, another thing that some are speculating. As ambitious as PCF's goals were in the beginning, not making this a true live service game may have been a mistake, as new seasons and even maybe introducing a PvP mode would do wonders. They say they never meant for this game to be a game you played forever, though I would question that given the wildly long Apocalypse tier grind, but they're treating the game like that, or so it seems. Time will tell what the future holds for Outriders. In the meantime, I appreciate all you guys' support as I continue to grow my small channel. If you enjoy the content, make sure you like and give a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content, be sure to subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, peace.